Welcome everyone to BlazBlue Centralfiction Mechanics Overview. BlazBlue is a long-running series with mechanics changing every version, so this video will act as a primer to get you ready for all of the new mechanics in Centralfiction, as well as refresh you on the basics of BlazBlue. Perfect for if you're a first-time BlazBlue player, or if you're returning to the series and need a refresher course. With that being said, let's get started. In many anime fighters, the notation used to denote combos is different than that of standard games, commonly referred to as keypad notation. Each direction is represented by a corresponding number on a standard keypad. 8 is up, 2 is down, 6 is forward, etc. So a standard fireball motion, which is quarter circle forward, would be 236 in keypad notation. This type of notation will be used for the remainder of this video, and that's how all BlazBlue combos are written. There are 4 buttons in BlazBlue. A's, which are your light attacks, B's, which are your medium attacks, C's, which are your heavy attacks, and D's, which are your drive attacks, which are specific to each character and usually defines that character. Drives are like the soul of your character. Mixed with keypad notation, BlazBlue combos can seem like an algebraic equation, but fear not, it's quite simple and efficient when you grow accustomed to it. The one thing that makes BlazBlue and other anime fighters, or air dashers as they are sometimes called, unique are the wide array of movement options. In BlazBlue, you have the standard, walk forward, walk backward, crouch and jump. In addition to that, you have run dashes, back dashes, double jump, air dashes, and super jump. Also keep in mind that back dashes have invincibility, making them very important tools. Those are the basic movement options, although some characters even have more unique options such as triple jumps, hop steps, etc. Note, another very important thing to learn are IADs or instant air dashes. IADs are very important for movement around the screen and sometimes combos. They are performed by simply jumping and dashing forward as soon as you can out of your jump. An easy way to perform this is by inputting 966 as fast as you can. If done correctly, your character will leave the ground and dash forward almost immediately. Be sure to practice this skill if you're not accustomed to it, assuming it applies to your character. Combos are generally fairly long in BlazBlue compared to some standard games. Not as long as, let's say, a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 combo, but longer than most people are used to. The combo counter is represented by the red numbers that appear during the combo, with a number displaying the damage of your combo underneath. If the numbers in your combo turn blue, it means that the combo is not real and your opponent missed an opportunity to escape at some point. Represented by the slash through circle with the number next to it, telling you exactly at what hit they could have escaped. One unique thing about BlazBlue combo system is that many characters have the ability to cancel buttons into other buttons, commonly referred to as gatlings or chains. Generally as lighter buttons into stronger buttons, i.e. A, B, C, but in some cases, characters can reverse gatling or go from a stronger button into a lighter one. Utilizing gatlings properly is essential for offense in BlazBlue. Depending on which button was used to start a combo in BlazBlue affects how long / how much damage your combo will do. These are so obviously referred to as starters. There are long, normal, short, and very short starters. Most short and very short starters come from lighter attacks such as A's or grabs, where normal and long starters come from stronger buttons such as B and C's or counter hits. Throws are performed in BlazBlue by pressing the B and C buttons simultaneously. Throws are generally good for combo starters and a good way to mix up offense. There are forward, back, and air throws. They can of course be escaped or teched by pressing B and C whenever you are thrown, unless it is a command throw. There are 2 types of throws, green throws and purple throws. Green throws are normal throws and give you a set amount of time to tech it before the throw animation begins. Purple throws are performed whenever your opponent is in hit or block stun, giving them roughly twice the amount of time to tech than a green throw. Command throws can also be purple throws, making them techable when they are normally not. You generally want to avoid going for purple throws since they are much easier to escape. There is also a mechanic in BlazBlue known as a throw reject miss, or TRM for short. TRMs occur when you try to tech a throw too early and the game blocks you out of being able to tech at all. This generally means you want to react to throw instead of preemptively throw escaping. Next we have counters. Counter hits occur whenever you hit your opponent during the startup, actives, or recovery frames of one of their moves. Generally, counter hits give you more time to combo as well as different types of combos. Counter hit punishes are usually the most damaging punishes in the game. Many moves have different properties on counter hit, so play around with your character to see what they can do. Also in Centralfiction, counter hits add extra damage to the combo, making them even more rewarding. Fatal counters are a special type of counter hit in BlazBlue that allows for combos that are not normally possible. Each character has specific buttons or specials that fatal counter and are generally used as max damage or super stylish punishes. As stated previously, the D button is your drive button and is specific to each character. Some characters have drives that are just additional normals, like Ragna, Jenner as Ryo, with special properties, whereas some drives aren't as intuitive, such as Hazama, Rachel, or Hakumen. Drives are a part of what makes each character feel so unique in BlazBlue and usually defines their playstyle. Like in most fighting games, each character in BlazBlue has a unique set of special moves, performed by inputting various commands. Some are used as offense tools, while most are combo tools. Characters also have distortion drives, which are a fancy name for their supers. At the bottom of the screen, you can see there's a numbered meter. As you block, take damage, and deal damage, you gradually build meter over time, capping at 100 meter. Distortion drives are only accessible when you have 50 meter or more. Each distortion drive takes exactly 50 meter and can be used for a multitude of reasons, most commonly combo enders to maximize damage. And Astral Heats are your big finishers. They are basically your way to stylishly finish off your opponent, but aren't always the most practical moves in the game. To perform an Astral Heat, you must be on the game-winning round, have 100 meter, and your opponent must have 30% life or less. It's basically like trying to draw all 5 pieces of Exodia, but if you manage to pull it off, it's a nice way to finish off a match, but generally not necessary. As I stated before, you gain meter over the course of a match, but when you have it, what to do? Well, meter usage plays a big part in BlazBlue outside of distortion drives. Rapid cancels are performed by hitting A, B, and C while your opponent is in hit or block stun, to instantly cancel your character's animation, allowing you to follow up with something else. You can use the rapid cancels to extend combos, reset your offense, or make unsafe moves safe, but they cost 50 meter, so you have to know when to use them wisely. Crush triggers are guard crush moves that are unblockable. They cost 25 meter and are performed by hitting A and B. Crush triggers are another way to open up your opponent. They come out fast, but generally you can only combo after them if you charge them a little, giving your opponent time to react. Although they are not blockable normally, they can be blocked by using Barrier Guard. Crush triggers can also be used as combo extenders and quick ways to reset offense by certain characters. Overdrive is a mechanic that was introduced into the series during Chrono Phantasma that found its way into Centralfiction. Overdrives are performed by pressing A, B, C, and D while in neutral, block stun, or while comboing your opponent, not while you are in hit stun or being comboed. Overdrives are a limited time power-up whose effects vary from character to character. They can be used for damaging combos or attempting to turn the tide of battle, but they use your burst. So after an overdrive activation, you will be without burst for a period of time. After Centralfiction, they also give you access to the new Exceed Excel. Exceed Excel are new types of super moves that are only available while a character is in overdrive, and use of it ends overdrive whether it hits or not. Exceed Excels can be used by pressing A, B, C, and D while already in overdrive. Exceed Excels can be performed immediately after overdrive activation by holding down the buttons. If performed this way, they come out 1 frame after the OD animation ends. Otherwise, they can be used at any point during the OD, but are not 1 frame. Like a normal super, Exceed Excels do have some form of invincibility on startup, and are safe on block, but can be punished by simply avoiding them. Exceed Excels generally do around 2,000 damage raw, and around 4,000 damage raw if you are in active flow, but they do significantly less damage in combos, but are still very useful in combos. If your Exceed Excel does hit the opponent and you are not already in active flow, you will be put into active flow. Now, what is active flow, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did. Active flow is another new mechanic added into Centralfiction. Active flow rewards a player for being more offensive. By performing more offensive actions or landing an exceed sail, your character will be put into active flow. You can only go into active flow once per round, but while you are in it, your character does about 10% increased damage, your burst gauge refills significantly faster, and your exceeding sail does more damage if you are already in active flow when it is performed. Active flow goes away over time and does not last particularly long, so you want to try to get the most out of it when you enter it. Also note that bursting ends active flow and prevents you from gaining it if you have not received it that round. The polar opposite of active flow, however, is negative penalty. For actively backdashing and running away from your opponent and air dashing away constantly without performing any offensive actions will put you in negative penalty. While in negative penalty, all of your barrier gauge is drained and you are automatically put in danger. This is terrible because while in danger you take increased damage from your opponent and you do not have access to your barrier gauge, making you susceptible to crush triggers and air unblockable attacks. You will recover from negative penalty once your barrier gauge reaches about 50%. Now you've heard barrier brought up a lot, but why is it important? Directly under your life bar is a small gauge known as the barrier gauge. The barrier gauge allows you to barrier block. Barrier blocking is performed by holding A and B while blocking. While barrier blocking, your opponent will be pushed further away from you, and it also allows you to block air unblockable attacks while in the air. Barrier also blocks crush triggers and some other unblockable attacks. Barrier block also prevents all chip damage, but holding barrier slowly consumes your barrier gauge, and once the gauge is depleted, you lose access to barrier and are put into danger. It is also worth noting that there is a special type of blocking in BlazBlue known as instant blocking, or IB. If you block just as your opponent's attack connects, you will flash white. This is known as an IB. IBing gives your opponent's moves less advantage, allowing you to punish some things you couldn't before, gives you extra meter per IB, and leaves your opponent closer for better punishes. Although IB can be risky since you have to IB each attack individually, you can also IB barrier, which uses the same results except there is more pushback to your opponent's moves instead of less. It is also worth noting that if your opponent manages to keep you in block stun for more than 6 seconds without any large gaps, you will enter guard bonus, which automatically IBs everything for you. It doesn't happen often, but it's worth knowing that it exists. Bursts are very important to BlazBlue. It's a way to end your opponent's combo and get them off of you. You can perform a burst by pressing A, B, C, and D while in hit stun. If you're successful, your opponent will get sent flying full screen and ending their combo. Bursts are very important as they can save you from a combo that might kill you or a bad situation, but you have to be careful because they can be baited and punished if not used properly. Bursting consumes your burst gauge and you won't have access to your burst or overdrive until it refills. There are some situations where you can't burst. You can't burst during a grab, a distortion drive, or while your opponent is hitting you while they are in overdrive. So let's say your opponent has you stuck in a long block string and you just want to get out. Well, fear not, counter assaults are just for you. If you have 50 meters you are willing to spend and you are stuck blocking your opponent, you can press forward AB while blocking to perform a counter assault, an attack that would knock your opponent away from you, ending their offense. Some characters have better counter assaults than others, and they can also be baited and punished if your opponent reads it correctly, so be careful when using them. Other defensive options include reversals. Some characters have invincible reversals such as Ragnus in front of Divider or Jin's Gale. These moves will go through whatever you are doing, but if you bait them, they can and should be heavily punished. Not all characters have meterless reversals. Some characters only have reversals with the use of meter in the form of distortion drives, which reward them with more damage, but of course can also be baited. But some distortion drives are harder to punish than others. And finally, I bring you to tech options. So let's say your opponent has you in a combo and knocks you down. What are your options on getting up? Well, first I should mention while you are being hit in BlazBlue, in order to pop out of the combo or tech, you must be holding any button that is not D. If your opponent drops their combo or if the combo ends, you will pop up by holding a button. If you don't hold a button to tech, then your opponent's combo will continue even if they drop it, or you can be picked up off the ground if you lay there for too long. Once you are knocked down and you decided to tech, you have a multitude of options to evade your opponent. If you hold tech with no button, you will emergency tech and pop right up in place. You don't go anywhere, but it's the safest tech option. Sadly, your opponent will get to continue their offense. If you hold forward or backward while teching, you will roll tech. These will get you away from your opponent, but if your opponent reads it, it can be punished with a combo. You can press no buttons and then delay tech by pressing a button after laying there for a few seconds, which could throw off your opponent's timing. But if you lay there for too long, your opponent will be able to pick you up for another combo. It all comes down to your judgment and your opponent's awareness. You have many options, but they may not always be the best option. Note, you also have the option to forward, back, or neutral tech if you tech mid-air. And this is the end of Learning BlazBlue mechanics. Hopefully this will be a useful guide in helping you learn BlazBlue Centralfiction. Please share this video with anybody who's trying to get into the game, or use this yourself to help understand all that BlazBlue Centralfiction has to offer. We will be doing more in-depth character guides and more advanced BBCF guides and tutorials on different mechanics and options you have. If you are interested in learning more about BlazBlue Centralfiction or need some help, subscribe and be sure to leave a comment for what you'd like to see and watch out for more content on the way.